Hi everybody, it's Maya Zahira with Psychic Protection Sanctuary, and we're now starting our Facebook Live in the Spiritual Empowerment Community Facebook group. This is day 3 of our Spiritual Empowerment Activation, our 10-day Spiritual Empowerment Activation. So here we are. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. And we're going to dive right into our third topic. So on day 1, we talked about, we basically set the stage for what we're doing. It was like all the logistics and everything. It was day 1, getting to know each other. Yesterday, excuse me, I still have a tiny bit of cough. It's almost gone. So yesterday we did a really powerful yet simple exercise for checking your energy to see if you need to attend to anything not good happening in your energy field. And today our topic is grounding. It's extremely important. It's something that people kind of take for granted. We're like, oh yeah, grounding. But do you actually do it? It's so vital. So we're going to talk about that today. As usual, go ahead and let us know where you're joining from. And I will try not to clear my throat too much. And yes, so we have a couple of comments. Amira says, I'm getting ready to teach a belly dance class. Yay, that sounds fun. I will have to catch the replay to see what I missed tonight. Cool. Have fun. That sounds so fabulous. And actually, we're going to be doing some brainstorming. Amira just reminded me. We're going to be doing some brainstorming for your favorite ways to ground. And so I want you to start thinking about that right now. As usual, go ahead and let me know where you're joining from. So those of you who are watching will know, we'll be able to get to know each other better. I want to just give a congratulations to the people that won the drawings on day 1. Jeannie, Yvonne, and Amira. And yesterday, Kelly, Nora, and Melissa. Congratulations. As usual, every day I mix it up. Some days there's drawings. Some days there's free gift. Some days there's both. And so I'm going to keep you guessing every day. I did already post the free gift. I hope it's up there. My internet is super slow right now. I hope it's up there. I posted your free gift, and it is a juicy one. I want to tell you about your free gift while a few more people are joining, and then we'll get into our content for today. So today's free gift is a cord cutting guided meditation. And I know some of you know what cord cutting is, but I have a feeling that there's a few of you who might not know what it is. So cord cutting is really referring to the fact that when you have relationships with people and situations and places, a lot of times what ends up happening is there develops a cord of energy, like a tube, like a hose, between you and that person or between you and that situation. There are beneficial energy cords, like a mother to their infant baby. That's a beneficial energy cord of love. We don't want to remove any positive energy cords, but a lot of times we end up having real messy energy cords or negative energy cords in our relationships. So it's very important to clean those up and clear out the ones that are no longer benefiting us. And so since our whole focus of this 10-day journey is all about, really learning how to manage your energy, when I was getting ready for today's class, I just felt really drawn to share that particular meditation with you. Even though it's not a grounding meditation, it's important. Okay. So I hope you enjoy it. And let's see, I'm going to go ahead and do shout outs right now. Jeannie says, hi from Piper, Kansas. Megan from Kentucky. Constance from Grandview, Missouri. Zahira from Renton, Washington. Hello, everybody. Good to see you all. We have a little bit smaller group today. You know, my intention is always whoever is supposed to be here is here. So, and then I know just a shout out to anyone watching the replay, because it's just fine if you're watching the replay. Some of you are at work or with your kids or busy doing other things during the live class, because I'm in Arizona. This is 4 o'clock my time. And what I had to do was figure out when I chose the time, I wanted to choose the same time every day just for consistency. And there are some days when I'm teaching classes in the evening, teaching online classes. And I was like, okay, the only time I can do it is 4 p.m. Arizona, 5 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. Eastern. So whoever can be here can be here. And if you can't be here, watch the replay. Oh, Zahira says, beautiful bandana and blouse. Thrift store fashion. This is tie-dye. Isn't that cool? I don't remember when I got either of these, but thrift store fashion. I love it. Some of my favorite things are from thrift stores. Okay, so today's about grounding. Right now, I want you to be brainstorming on your piece of paper what your favorite grounding techniques are. And if you're drawing a blank, you'll get some ideas from others when we share in just a minute. Okay? But before we get into talking about grounding techniques, I want to talk about what happens if you aren't grounded. So like, why is it so important that you be grounded? And what are the side effects if you're not grounded? So if you're not grounded, if you're not anchored and connected with the earth, anchored into your body, the opposite of that is that you're not connected to the earth. You're not really connected with your body. A lot of times when people are not grounded, their energy is actually not even fully in their body. It's like up here. Maybe they're spending a lot of time meditating and praying or doing, high vibrational, 5th dimensional or 12th dimensional work, and they're totally disembodied. And so they're spaced out. Like when you're not grounded, it's easier to get into auto accidents or have a slip or a fall, physical kinds of accidents. It's pretty common if you're not grounded to have problems with your finances because you're not really anchored into your incarnation. You're out in la la land. You might have trouble concentrating, remembering things if you're not grounded. There's other reasons why people might have memory issues, but one of the reasons could be being ungrounded. So side effects, I talked about a few already, but I'll tell you all that for myself, if I'm not grounded, I get overwhelmed very easily because I'm an empath. I'm very sensitive to the energy around me. So I will get overwhelmed. I will start to feel anxiety and depression, like oppressive depression. And I was reminded of that a few days ago when I was like, oh my God, I need to ground because I was feeling just overwhelmed with all the energies and everything within myself that I was processing and other people's stuff. And, and it all is what it is, right? But I really needed to ground. I needed to stop what I was doing and go ground. So I had a firsthand reminder of that just a couple of days ago. So you might be able to relate to this, that if you're not grounded, that you get overwhelmed or anxious or depressed. So I'm going to talk about today's homework in just a minute, but before we do, let's talk about your favorite methods for grounding. So it could be anything from hugging a tree to eating certain kinds of food. There can be certain spiritual practices that can be grounding, but some like meditation, if done a certain way, it can be very ungrounding. If done a certain way, it can be very grounding. So think about if meditation is on top of your list, how would you need to do it so that it's grounding, right? Also, actually, right now, go ahead and start sharing your ideas because I know there's a 30-minute lag. So go ahead and share your favorite ideas for grounding, okay? And while I'm waiting for those to come in, I want to share my also. Also, one funny thing that I've noticed over the years with people is this tendency for people to want to ground using their brain. And it's this whole like mental grounding. What I mean by that is that people will completely, let's say it's a beautiful day outside, and instead of like actually literally going outside to actually connect with the planet, with the earth, they'll stay inside in their living room with all the curtains drawn, and they'll do a grounding meditation in their head. Like, and now I'm thinking about grounding, I'm thinking about connecting with earth energy. Well, just freaking get the hell outside, right? So yeah, if it's like 8 degrees outside and it's a blizzard, I wouldn't want to go outside either. Okay. So like, I understand, but if you can possibly get outside, and even when it's chilly, putting a coat on and going outside. Okay. There's ways you can do it. The very, very number one, most direct way to ground is to literally be outside with your shoes and socks off, feet planted on the ground. Or you could sit on a blanket, butt planted on the ground, your root chakra literally anchored, planted into the ground. Okay. Let's say you can't do that. Like right now, I've been feeling a little bit challenged because when I landed in Tucson, I ended up, long story short, I ended up grabbing the first place, or actually not the first place, but the first place that I could find, sort of. And it happens to be in an apartment complex. So there's not a yard. There's no place where I can go outside and do what I just described. Now I could drive somewhere, but on one of my standard work days, I really don't have time to do that during daylight. It's really not going to happen. So I've had to figure out the logistics of that. So for example, just now before class, I said, oh, wait, I haven't done my meditation for today. And I remembered from a couple days ago that that's so vital for me. I need to do some centering every day so that I don't get overwhelmed. I want to do it before class so that I'm even more prepared for class. So I went out. I do have a patio. Went out onto my patio, took my socks off, and it's cement. So it's not dirt, but it's at least, I mean, it's made from earth elements, so to speak. And then I had my eyes open and I looked out at the sky, and I just, and then I also looked at the tree because I could see the tree outside of my patio. And I did a couple of things. I connected my feet to the earth energy, and I could feel some shifting happening. And then I also, when I was looking at the tree, even though I couldn't touch the tree from my patio, I was looking at the tree, and I was asking for the tree to infuse me with its energy. So let me give you an example. If it's 8 degrees outside, or okay, maybe that's too cold to go outside. Well, let's say it's chilly, but it's okay to put, it's not so chilly that you can't put your coat on and go outside, but you might not want to be barefoot. So you can go sit under a tree. You might be all bundled up, but you can still be receiving earth energy that way. Trees are very, very grounding. So you don't have to just receive grounding energy up through your feet or up through your root chakra. Today was a reminder for me when I was doing my meditation that you can draw it in this way through a tree. As a clairvoyant, I've been able to see many times that there's this beautiful mist of light that comes down from the leaves and the branches of trees. And so because I've been able to see that so many times, when I did today's meditation, I was just asking to be infused with that. So those are some direct ways that you can ground. Of course, you can do a grounding meditation. And if it's 8 degrees outside, that might be the best thing that you can do. And I see you've had a lot. I see you all have made lots of comments. So let's go back and let's read some of the comments. And Zahira says, I love your fashion. Thank you. I'm still sucking on cough drops. Yeah, I always joke that I make my own fashion. I do not care what the fashions are. I ignore it completely, and I like to dress like a hippie. Okay. Ways that people like to ground. Zahira, nature, water, tree hugging. Yeah, Zahira is a nature lover like I am. Yeah, and Zahira also does nature photography, and even just doing that and focusing on whatever you're photographing is going to help connect you with nature. Zahira also says deep breaths. Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that. That's actually one of my favorite ways to ground. If I'm inside, it can help center and ground me so quickly. And I recommend it to all my students. And whenever we're doing sessions or a guided journey of any kind, taking slow, deep breaths, it's the best way to bring you back into your body and get you feeling a little more stabilized. Zahira says, oh, earthing. Yeah, so I think by that term, you're referring to putting your bare feet on the ground, right? So that's often referred to as earthing, putting your bare feet on the ground and connecting with the earth that way. Tina says, hi, everyone. And then Zahira, you get like an A++ because you are answering a lot today. That's awesome. Zahira says protocol and grid. And what she's referring to there is a technique that I teach in the Spiritual Empowerment Academy. And we're not going to get into it in our 10-day journey, but but we are going to touch on some of it. Actually, we are going to touch on some of it, but it's a whole protocol for grounding, connecting with divine source, establishing a grid of protection around your energy field. And it's a really great way to manage your energy on a regular basis. Jeannie says, walking barefoot, nature, walking in the woods. And I like Zahira's deep breath method. Yes. Yeah, it's like that deep breath method is like the first moment that you start to realize that you're in anxiety or that you're spaced out or you can't concentrate. Just taking those 3 deep breaths, a lot of times that just fixes it. It's so simple. Okay, do we have any other comments? And I think today we're going to do a little bit of sharing that is about our homework. So the homework, the post in the Facebook group for today's homework says something about tell us about any situations or areas of your life that tend to throw you into an ungrounded state. So, or it could be something in your past, or it could be like a common occurrence that you're like, oh, every time I just like totally like get ungrounded, I get unfocused, I just go into anxiety or overwhelm. So what situation or what pattern would that be? Okay. So let's go ahead and share a little bit in the Facebook Live, but then also you'll be typing and sharing your answer in the homework thread. Jeannie also says patting the heart for grounding. Yeah, I like that technique. Yeah, that's a very comforting technique, especially if you're in anxiety, overwhelm. Zahira says also dancing. Dancing is a really great grounding method. Any kind of movement in your body. Let's see what other grounding techniques we have, because there's a lot that we haven't covered. What about yoga? Yoga can be very grounding, especially those like hip opener kinds of stretches, like really working with the root chakra. Megan says, going to the grocery store leaves me completely ungrounded every time. Yeah, Walmart does that to me. Jeannie says, when the neighbor boys bounce their basketball far too long, it sends me over the edge. Yeah. So what are some other grounding methods? Okay, so I'm thinking about something that you might not think of as grounding, but I think it could have a grounding effect. And that would be to take a saltwater bath. Now, water is water, it's not earth. But salt itself is very grounding, and it is also a great way to clear your energy. So let's say it's freezing cold, it's 8 degrees outside and it's a blizzard, and you're really feeling like you need to ground. Maybe a saltwater bath, a nice hot bath, could help you get more relaxed and in your body. That's something to consider. Yvette. Hi, Yvette. She says, if I get in a rush, running late, this easily gets me ungrounded. You know what? Me too. Mine is very similar, but a little bit different. Yeah, well, being in a rush throws me off. But if I feel like I have more to do than I have time for, like if I'm overscheduled, oh, I hate that. It's really hard to stay grounded. That's why I'm very protective about keeping a really balanced schedule, because that's a big ungrounding trigger for me. Constance says, anger at or around me. Yeah, that makes sense. Tina says, when somebody talks negative and gets angry at somebody else, or somebody gets mad at me, it just throws me off. Yep. Jeannie says, oh yes, a bath. So let's keep sharing both any grounding techniques that you can think of, whether they're your favorites or not, and anything that tends to throw you off from being grounded. Kelly says, ha ha ha, Walmart. Yeah, I don't know. You know what? I did a video one time about like how the energy at Walmart is so hard for me as an empath. And there was somebody who messaged me and explained that a lot of Walmarts, the electrical system is set up under the floor. So when you're walking through there, you're feeling like all of that electricity. So I thought that was interesting. I was like, oh, well, I'm sensitive to electricity. Anyway, just a little tidbit, a little bit of information. Yvette says, I love Epsom salt baths in Kansas winters for grounding. Yeah. You know what, though? So, yes, me too. And when I was living in Kansas in the winter, I literally would bundle up. I would put my hat on. I would put my big heavy socks on, my boots, and I would go. Now I couldn't really last more than 10 minutes because I would, like, my hands would start to go numb, but I would go outside. I would keep my boots on. I wouldn't take them off. I would go outside, and I would have a sleeping bag. I'd take an unzipped sleeping bag. I would go sit in a chair out in the yard, and I would have the sleeping bag over my legs, and I'd have my coat on. And I would do that I could usually last about 10 minutes. After that, I would just get way too cold because I don't like the cold. But I would bundle up and I would still do that. And it was really grounding. So So if you can handle doing that, then I highly suggest it. Highly recommend it. And then afterwards, go take a bath because you'll be cold. Jeannie says, yes, overscheduling is big for me. Zahira says, if I don't sleep well. Oh, yeah, me too. I can relate to that. Erica says, hot baths put me in a balanced state. I love it. And Zahira mentioned one that I was going to mention earlier. Sex is grounding. So, yes, I mean, that's literally working your first two chakras, your root chakra, your sacral chakra. And not only that, but anything that's a physical activity itself is going to help ground you. Jessica says, leaving things like chores undone, leaving the house without the bed made, etc. just distracts me all day. And like you at Walmart, for some reason, IKEA throws me off too. Yeah, that's funny. Do you know what? Little fun fact, I've never been into an IKEA before. So maybe I will someday. I just haven't. So I don't know what the energy feels like. Zahira says, antique shops really throw me off. And I'm going to just throw in here that could be because all of the objects are holding all of the energy of previous owners. And some of that energy might not be pleasant energy. Hi, Sally. Good to see you. Constance says, eating or drinking can be grounding to bring you back into your body. Yes, actually, that's fantastic. And some people will choose certain foods to ground with. I was at it was like maybe 8 years ago or something. I had been at a spiritual circle event. And afterwards, they passed around cookies and said, well, we want you to eat something and ground. And for me, that was all wrong. Just sharing a little personal story here. I was like, oh, that's bad. Because anything sugar ungrounds me. If I have sugar, it throws off my blood sugar. And I think it does for a lot of people. I think sugar, like having a cookie, might feel grounding in the moment, but it's really not grounding. It's actually going to be ungrounding because later your blood sugar will be up and down. But there are certain kinds of foods that can be really grounding, especially like root vegetables, proteins. Some people find potatoes to be grounding because they're root vegetables. For me, it's a little bit too sugar crash inducing, but just listen to your body. You'll find that certain foods are more grounding for you, whereas others are not. And then, of course, we don't want to use, I know this is common sense, we don't want to use food to ground every single time that we feel ungrounded, because you can guess what'll happen there. But yes, if you need to eat, eat. Or if you need to stretch, stretch. If you need to breathe, breathe, and so on. Kelly says, petting my cats helps ground me. Oh, yeah. I love that you brought that one up. That's very grounding, touching your animals. Sally says, great to see you, lovely. Kiss, kiss. Erica says, something about this Target is weird. The air quality is bad in there. I can't stay in there for too long. Yeah, so we all have different locations that might be more difficult for us than others. And if we absolutely have to go in there, then we have to like take a moment before we walk in the door to ground and breathe and just make sure you're centered. I know for myself, with having trouble in Walmart stores, I have to make sure that I'm not hungry when I am walking in there, because for whatever reason, if I haven't eaten in a while, then my blood sugar will crash just from being in there. And I don't know if it's the electrical impulses or if it's the fluorescent lights. But anyway, that might be something to keep in mind, is making sure that you're really grounded before you walk in. I always bring almonds and an apple with me in the car and water, and make sure that I'm good to go before I walk into a place like that. Sally says, I'm not sure that I understand. That kind of looks like an advertisement, so I'm not going to read that. But anyway, okay, so today's homework is to go ahead and post your thoughts about anything that ungrounds you. And then you can also brainstorm an idea of something that you can do to try to prevent that. Like I just shared that I know that walking into Walmart tends to be very ungrounding for me. So there are some things that I do as preventative tools. I bring almonds and an apple and some water in the car with me. And if I feel like I need a little bit of something before I go in, I will have a few almonds or a sip of water or whatever before going in. So think about what you can do preventative wise to help you with whatever that situation is. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. So Sally is saying that there's a meditation that she goes to that she finds very grounding. That's great. Awesome. Thank you for explaining that. Zahira says, yes, I crash and I feel sick if I don't eat or drink water every 1 to 2 hours. Yep. Yeah, some of us are just real sensitive like that. Okay, everybody, so we're right at the 30-minute mark. My goal is to do each of these about 30 minutes. Yesterday I went a little bit long, and that's okay. So I want to really challenge you to check in with yourself throughout the day and ask if you feel grounded or not. Do I feel grounded right now? Okay, so what do I need to do? Simple things. Breathe, 3 deep, slow, deep breaths. Drink a glass of water. That's one that we didn't mention. Literally just drinking a glass of water, that can help you ground your energy. And it's so simple. Yeah. So whatever it is that you need to do, eat a snack, take some time, just stop what you're doing and go outside and meditate, go for a nature walk, whatever it is that you need to do. So I challenge you to every day check in with yourself. Notice throughout the day if you're feeling ungrounded. You don't have to judge yourself for it. Just do something, do some kind of self-care to help get yourself back on track, because we all know that when we're ungrounded and we're trying to respond to life or solve a problem from that ungrounded place, it doesn't go well, right? So the best way is to take that time to be grounded. Okay, so there's no individual gifts today because like I said, I mix it up every day and I just keep you guessing and surprising. But there is a free gift for everybody in the Facebook group. It is the cord cutting meditation, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. Normally, it's only available to my students in the Spiritual Empowerment Academy. If you want more information on that, or if you feel drawn to work with me more deeply, then I encourage you to go to my website, psychicprotectionsanctuary.com, and under the events tab, you'll see the 12-month online Spiritual Empowerment Academy. In the Academy, we take what we're doing here and we go a lot deeper with it. So that what we're covering here in this 10-day journey is a really good sample, but this is like just touching the surface sample. Okay, so if you're curious or you feel drawn, go ahead and check it out on my website. If you feel like there's an energetic click, like you feel drawn to take the next step, then you can submit the application and we can talk about it some more. So, okay, well, thank you everybody for being here. I see you, Tana, you just joined. As usual, I will see you again tomorrow, same time. But just a friendly reminder that my property management at the place where I'm staying said that they're coming over sometime between 9 and 5. And so they could end up showing up right when class is happening. So here's how we'll do it. You can plan to see me at the usual time, which is 4 p.m. Arizona, 5 p.m. Central on Thursday. Tomorrow is Thursday. Okay. Tomorrow's Thursday. And if if the management shows up right at that time, I'll just make a post. I'll tell you when I'll get on, because we're definitely doing it no matter what. We're not gonna let that throw us off. Worst case scenario, we might do it an hour later, but I will keep you posted. Welcome to the world of apartment living. Okay, you guys, thanks so much, and I will see you all tomorrow. Sending you all my love.